How do you get into information technology? Very often the answer is, well, go and get certified, find a help desk role, stay for 6 to 9 months, make additional certifications, and then move into system administration. And there you go, you are in information technology. But of course, there are many different ways to get into information technology. And today I want to talk about Microsoft Intune as a starting point for either when you completely start over to get into information technology, or if you are already working in IT, let's say in a help desk role or maybe a junior system administration role. And Intune really opens the door to additional, I want to say, career opportunities. So what is Intune? If you look back, besides Intune, there is an endpoint management tool that Microsoft had for many, many years. It started with Microsoft SMS, Systems Management Server. Then they renamed it to SCCM, System Center Configuration Manager. And it's a tool really to manage endpoints like desktops, laptops. It evolved for software patching. You can push policies to systems. You can remote into machines. And it was really a handy-dandy tool for system administrators, but also for help desk technicians to use. Intune is the next step up from SCCM. It might not have the full functionality just yet compared to SCCM, but it's definitely the future of endpoint management. And it's not just endpoint management where you push security policies to devices or manage these devices remotely. I mentioned MDM, mobile device management, so you can secure devices and you can really help to keep the overall environment secure and safe. And that's where this could evolve to in the long term. You could get into information security using Intune as a starting point to build up knowledge and skill set. But from an overall perspective, it's an endpoint management tool that allows a larger corporation to manage laptops, desktops, and so on conveniently from a dashboard and from a cloud location. So meaning there is no on-prem infrastructure required to use Intune. Intune is not horribly complicated. It overlaps into help desk, it overlaps into system administration. So there's a lot of variety of work. And I think it's a really great starting point from that perspective. It's nothing wrong with getting A+ certified or some of the Microsoft certifications on the lower level to really get an understanding of Windows 10, Windows 11, because those are operating systems you would be managing remotely with Microsoft Intune. So that's really the foundation. So endpoint management, security policies, software patching, and all the related pieces to that. A while ago I made a video about SCCM and I will link to it up here, and I pointed out in that video, if you do not upgrade your skill set, SCCM is potentially a dead end for your IT career. Now you may ask that question, okay, what is different with Microsoft Intune? Well, SCCM is an on-prem infrastructure technology. So you need to have database servers, you need to have the different management servers and distribution points in an on-prem environment. You do not need that with Intune. Intune is part of Microsoft Azure and the Microsoft 365 environment. So there's a lot of ways where you can go into different areas and build up additional skills and really transform your career from that perspective. So the dead end that Microsoft SCCM potentially is does not exist with Microsoft Intune. I also think that the barrier of entry is lower and it's easier to work with Microsoft Intune compared to SCCM. So I think those are great starting points to get into information technology if you're starting from scratch or if you are in a role in a help desk or junior system administration. So how can you get into, or how can you qualify for a role to work with Microsoft Intune, manage Microsoft Intune? So for one, there's a Microsoft certification, the Microsoft 365 Certified Endpoint Administrator Associate. That certification, I put a link down in the description that you can look it up on Microsoft's website, goes great with some of the other certifications that Microsoft has, especially in regards to Windows 11 or Windows 10, the endpoints itself and how to configure operating systems and look at it from a larger corporation perspective, how you need to manage those systems. Then also from there, you can get into the system administration. You can look at Microsoft Azure and really build up a skill set that easily transfers from just being Microsoft Intune into the more challenging and more satisfying career options in the Microsoft world. How do you learn the technology? I mean, you could follow the certification path. That's a big recommendation that I always make, because if you follow a framework that is required for these certifications for you to pass, it's a great learning experience. You do not deviate into areas that are not important. So if you start studying for a certification, it's also a great way really to get the knowledge. I mean, I encourage you to get this certification, but you don't have to. You can still acquire the knowledge just by learning and studying for the certification. So then there are other options. You could go to Udemy and buy some of the cheaper courses available there. Microsoft offers a lot of free learning material as well. And I also want to encourage you to get a Microsoft developer account and set up your own sandbox environment where you can play with the different technologies, not just Microsoft Intune, but where you can really get hands-on experience with how does this tool work? What do I need to know? How do I push policies? How do I push patches? How do I manage an endpoint? How do I secure it? How do I remote into a system? And I'm not necessarily saying Intune is a remote management tool for remoting into a desktop, but you have to look at it really from what capabilities and what other third-party tools potentially can be used in combination with Microsoft Intune. With Microsoft Intune, I mentioned Windows 10, Windows 11. Of course, those are not the only operating systems that are supported. I mentioned MDM, mobile device management, and here you have to think about iOS on the Apple side and Android on the, I want to say, Google side of things. And again, you push policies to those devices. You have to enroll devices. You have to help people to, I lost my phone, I bought a new phone, to re-enroll their devices into the MDM portion of Microsoft Intune. So a good understanding of how Android and iOS work is also very helpful. And again, that's another skill set that adds to the mix to make you a more valuable individual contributor for a company and to have really a good foundation for a successful career. If you already work in a larger corporate environment and you work for the help desk, really start figuring out, okay, what is the management tool that is used to control and manage our desktops and laptops? Talk to the system administrators and system engineers and really make it known that you are interested really in this type of role, and potentially ask them to look over their shoulder when they do certain things, just so that you get a better understanding. There's a lot of opportunities available for you to voluntarily learn something and to build up your skill set. So the networking portion, I don't mean like TCP IP, the networking between people is a very important part in that way, so that you can acquire the knowledge. You might not necessarily even have to go down that certification path if you can find a mentor in your own environment where you work. And a lot of companies really encourage people internally to move up, to build up a skill set and then have a long-term career path. It's not just corporate branding and marketing that they send you to certain trainings and have you do certain things. A lot of companies really mean it and help you to develop that career set. It's an asset because you build up not just the technology knowledge that you can take everywhere, but you also build up the domain knowledge for the company, for that environment. You know the people in that company, and that's a very important part, especially when it comes to those more specialized roles. So Microsoft Intune, I consider it a great starting point to get into information technology. I still think the barrier of entry is low. It might be a little higher than the boring help desk role that you're potentially looking at, and boring I put in quotes because for many people it's really just the starting point. It's not that somebody wants to do for the next 15, 20 years or so. The starting point with Intune, I think you can go straight and apply for Intune roles with the right credentials. So if you come with no IT knowledge in the background on your resume, go for the certifications and build up that skill set, get a developer account and start playing with that technology. If you already work in information technology, I think it's a great next career step, because if you, let's say you work for a help desk, you don't have to start completely from scratch. You bring help desk knowledge, and that's part of the Intune knowledge that you will need. So it's easier to transition into this type of role. It also is easier if you apply at other companies coming from a help desk role for Intune. It's like, hey, I already know the endpoint with all the little pieces that one needs to know to become a successful Intune systems engineer, Intune technician. There are different job titles, so look them up on LinkedIn and Indeed and identify what the job titles are. Look at the job descriptions. Don't necessarily let this scare you when you see like requirements for 8 years experience in information technology. I've seen some of those job descriptions and that just felt like out of touch with the real world. So there was one company requiring 8 years of Intune knowledge and 12-year IT knowledge. So that's usually where things go apart. So I would be careful working for that type of company. But within the Intune world, you can grow as well. And well, just keep an eye on how the world develops around you, because if you feel like with SCCM, where I said it's a dead end, it's like I would not stay there unless you're really at the end of your career, or you want to just ride it out to the very end and then find something new. So let me know in the comments what you think about Intune as a starting point in information technology. Would love to read your comments, and hope to hear really what is your experience from that perspective and what are you hoping to achieve. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel as well. I really appreciate it. And then I would say I'll see you next time in my next video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.